I'm going to show you my audience. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Did you know that one organ donor can save up to 8 lives? Hi, my name is Zach Favazza, and today I'm going to be talking about organ donation, why it's so important. Now, organ donation is not only important, but it is also vital in the day and age we live in. With the rapid rate of technology, it only is fair and it only makes sense that we captivate and we capitalize on that rapid rate of technology, and we do things that we have never, ever been able to do before. And one of those things is organ donation. Now, understand that organs are needed. They save lives. They're essential in the day and age that we live in. They give people a new life, in fact. Now, a lot of people have this fear that organ donation is a really scary thing, and those people have the rights to those fears, and they have the rights to those opinions of those fears. But when we really compare the fear of organ donation compared to the impact that it has, we really see that the impact outweighs the fear any day of the week. Now, I know a man who is the father, of 4 daughters and 1 son. This man was given a month left to live without an organ donation, without a heart transplant. But because someone donated their heart, because someone donated their organ, he now lives a life a year and a half later, being the father to his 4 daughters and his 1 son. And I think that is pretty incredible. But today we're really going to be talking about 3 different aspects of organ donation. We're first going to be talking about the fear of organ donation and why people may fear some fears of organ donation. We're going to also be talking about why it's not necessarily a scary thing, but why it is really a beneficial thing. And we're also, lastly, going to be talking about why it really helps people. And we're going to be talking about why more people should join this movement. So a lot of people believe that organ donation is a really scary thing. There's a couple reasons why. Number one, people are scared that when they are in some sort of critical condition, when they get into an accident, the doctors are going to let them die because they have an organ donation thing on their license, or they have a card, so they can take their organs and give it to someone else. Another fear is people are just scared of organs being taken from them. Just the visualization, the illustration inside their mind of an organ coming out of them really just scares a lot of people. A third reason is people have this fear of not being whole at death. People have a fear of not dying as one piece, but dying as many different pieces, or their pieces being used in other ways. And now, don't get me wrong. These are all great reasons. These are all awesome reasons for those people, but we have to understand something, that all of these reasons are based solely on opinions. And when we really take those opinions and put them to facts, we see that these reasons don't have a lot of backing to them. So the first one that we talked about is people have this fear that doctors are going to take organs out of them and let them die to give them to someone else so that person can live. Now, there's a couple reasons why this doesn't make any sense. Number one, doctors by law must save people. They when they get that degree, when they get into that profession, they have to save people by law. They're held to a higher standard. Number two, they can be sued if they let someone die to harvest their organs for someone else. That just doesn't make any sense, and I'm pretty sure that no one wants to be sued. If you talk to a doctor about being sued, their face is probably going to go straight, and they're probably not going to want to talk anything about the word sued. Lastly, ethically, it's wrong for a doctor to do that. In medical ethics, a doctor isn't going to take an organ out of a living person and let them die so they can give it to another living person. That just doesn't make any sort of sense. The second reason that we just talked about is that people are afraid of the illustration or the visualization of organs being taken from them when they die. But one thing that we have to know is that doctors make sure that you are dead before they take your organs. That's not to say that, like I said before, they're not going to make sure you die, but they make sure that you are dead when they take your organs out of you. Understand this. Doctors will do everything they can in order to save you, whether it be bringing you back to life or doing everything to make sure that you stay alive. They're going to try to make sure that you stay alive and that you don't die. But if you do die and there is no chance that they can bring you back to life, that is when they take your organs from you. If there even is a pulse, the slightest increment of life, they're going to do everything they can to save you. And the third reason that we talked about is that people are fearful of not being whole at death. Now, this is kind of a weird stance because no one is necessarily whole at death. As soon as we die, our body starts to decompose, it starts pulling itself apart. As well, no one can guarantee how they're going to die. You may die in an explosion, you may die in a fire, you may die in a car accident. There's many different ways where you die and you're no longer whole when you die. So that doesn't really make a lot of sense when people say that they want to die as a whole. But we must view these things as minor when we're really looking at the larger picture. Because organ donation really does help, and it really does help a lot of people. Like I talked about that man who has 4 daughters and 1 son. He's living an amazing, great life now because someone donated their heart to him, and because he was given a new opportunity and a new chance at life, and he is forever grateful. I promise you, if you talk to anybody who's ever had any sort of organ donation, any sort of organ transplant, they are very, very grateful to be given that second chance at life, to be given a new life. Now, I really want to do this example of what organ donation is kind of like for the people who still don't maybe understand. So, say these 2 pieces of this puzzle are together, and they're perfectly aligned, they perfectly work together. It's a beautiful thing. But say one day they break apart and they're no longer the 2 puzzle pieces that were together before. Now, this puzzle piece no longer works, it's gone. There's no way that it can come back. But this puzzle piece can still work with this puzzle piece when you put them together. Now, these 2 puzzle pieces work perfectly together, and they're interconnected, and it is, again, a beautiful thing. Who in their right mind would not want those 2 puzzle pieces to be together when the other one is gone completely? I mean, it's like this. It's whether we donate our organs to save the lives of others or we don't. And that's really all it is to it. It's people being scared when they could be saving lives. The stigma behind organ donation is exactly what I just said. It's a stigma. It's an opinion. But on the level of death and life, we must look deeper, and we must look to see whether this is really helping someone or whether it's really not. Lives that need to be saved need to be saved. And in this very moment, as I speak, there's lives that do need to be saved. It could be your life. It could be someone you love life. Now, we have to put it in the perspective of ourselves. If I really think about this and I think about myself for a second, if I was on the brink of death, if I was on my deathbed and I was wondering, am I going to be able to live? The doctors are saying that this thing is wrong with me and I don't know if I'm going to live for another 2 days. But then, later on they say, well, we have an organ transplant that you can do that will give you a new chance at life. Of course, I'm going to do that. Of course, anybody in their right mind is going to want to take that second chance at life. Or say it's a loved one that you have, someone that you deeply care about, and this organ transplant can give them a second chance at life. You would want everything for them to have that organ transplant, for everything to go right. But a lot of times people don't think this way. A lot of times people think of it as, I'm not in that situation, so I really don't know how it's going to be. But that's really backwards thinking when you think about it, and it's kind of hypocritical when you would do the same thing if you were in that position. Now, we can't see this problem as a simple problem. It's not politics. It's not making a simple decision like if you should eat bread for dinner or if you should eat meat for dinner. It's a really complex situation. It's either life or death. But it also is, pretty simple in the same way. It's both complex and simple because it's either you sign up for this list, you put it on your license, or you don't. So in conclusion, it is our duty to do all that we can to help this world. It is our duty to be organ donors. I am an organ donor on my license. I have a little heart at the bottom of my license, so if I ever died in a car accident and they could fix they couldn't fix me and I was to die, they could take my organs and help someone else out. Now, anybody can be an organ donor. All you have to do is get it on your license, sign up for your state's list of organ donors, or get an organ donor card. It can be any of those simple 3 ways, and it's pretty easy to accomplish. I'm very proud that my license has one, and I really think that everyone should put it on their license or get on an organ donor list in some way. Be the difference today. Make a difference in the world. Help the people that really need to be helped. Save lives and get on an organ donor list. Thank you. All right, and I'm going to show you my 4 people at the end. 1, 2, 3, and 4.